For 10,000 cycles the galaxy had believed one thing. There were limits. Every species rose, peaked, and settled into its place. Some ruled. Some served. Some vanished into dust and forgotten records. Power was measured, catalogued, and controlled by the Galactic Concord, an alliance of the most advanced civilizations ever to exist. At the center of it all stood the Veil Dominion. The Veil were ancient, tall beings of silver flesh and glowing eyes. They had outlived stars. Their fleets moved like storms. Their science bent gravity, time, and thought itself. When the Veil spoke, the galaxy listened. When they threatened, entire systems surrendered. They had challenged every species. And every species had broken. On the Grand Ring world Cartax Prime, representatives of the Concord gathered. Massive halls curved into the sky. Holographic stars floated above the floor. Alien delegates hovered, slithered, or stood in silence. Supreme Executor Kael'vor of the Veil addressed them. The outer spiral is pacified, Kael'vor said, his voice calm and absolute. Resistance has ended. All known powers have submitted or been erased. A ripple of approval moved through the hall. Then a small figure spoke. An insectoid delegate from the ZYR collective clicked nervously. Executor, there is one region left. A minor species. Newly spacefaring. Kael'vor turned his glowing eyes. Name them. The ZYR hesitated. They call themselves humans. Laughter echoed. A reptilian warlord bared his fangs. A pre-warp species barely unified. Short-lived. Weak bodies. They fight among themselves, another voice added. They poison their own world. Kael'vor raised a hand and silence returned. Send a single observation fleet, he said. Let them witness true power. Then they will kneel. The decision was unanimous. No one noticed the human signal that slipped through the Concord's data nets that very moment. On Earth, night covered the Pacific. In a hidden facility beneath a mountain, humans watched alien ships appear on their screens. Admiral Elias Rourke stood still, hands behind his back. They didn't even try to hide, a scientist whispered. They want us to see them. Rourke nodded. Then let them see us back. The room was silent. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for generations. Not with fleets. With plans. Part 2, First Contact, First Mistake. The Veil observation fleet entered the Sol system in perfect formation. Their ships were massive, smooth, and glowing with energy shields no known weapon could break. They transmitted a message. This system now belongs to the Veil Dominion. Submit peacefully. Your leaders will be spared. Earth answered. A single human ship approached. It was small. Angular. Dark. Veil analysts scoffed. A scout, one said. Primitive metal hull, another added. Then the human ship spoke. This is Admiral Elias Rourke of the United Earth Directorate, the voice said calmly. You are trespassing. The Veil commander paused. You challenge us? He asked. Rourke's reply was simple. We are listening. The Veil fired a warning shot. Space bent. Energy tore through the void. The human ship vanished. The Veil fleet recorded the kill and turned away. Then alarms screamed. One Veil ship went dark. Then another. Invisible impacts tore through shields that had never failed before. Precision strikes hit engines, sensors, and reactors, never the hull. The Veil fleet retreated in confusion. On Earth, Rourke exhaled. Phase 1 complete, he said. Humanity had just rewritten the rules of war. Part 3, The Politics of Panic. The Galactic Concord panicked. The Veil had never retreated. Delegates argued, screamed, demanded answers. Kael'vor stood silent as reports flooded in. Human weapons ignore shields. They use predictive warfare. They sacrifice ships without hesitation. A crystalline being asked quietly, what do they want? Kael'vor finally spoke. They want time. The Concord voted for sanctions. Isolation. Containment. Humans responded by opening diplomatic channels to everyone. They shared food technology, medical cures, energy solutions. They turned enemies into allies. The Veil watched as former subjects defected. For the first time in millennia, fear spread upward. Part 4, War of Minds. The Veil launched a full invasion. Thousands of ships descended on human colonies. Humans did not meet them head-on. They vanished. Supply lines failed. Communications broke. Entire fleets were lured into gravity traps, false signals, and empty space. Human commanders argued openly, adapted instantly, and changed plans mid-battle. The Veil followed doctrine. Humans followed instinct. On the battlefield of Helios Rift, Admiral Rourke faced Kael'vor directly. "You are chaos," Kael'vor said. Rourke smiled faintly. "No. We're choice." Then the rift collapsed. Part 5, The Breaking Point. Earth was attacked. Cities burned. Billions watched the sky fall. But humanity did not surrender. Civilians evacuated. Underground cities activated. Planetary defenses revealed themselves. Weapons the galaxy had never imagined fired. The Vale flagship was boarded. Human soldiers fought in silence, eyes burning with purpose. Kael'vor was captured. "You should not exist," he said. Rourke answered, "Neither should fear." Part 6, The Shock of Supremacy. With Kael'vor imprisoned, the Vale Dominion fractured. Human fleets arrived, not as conquerors but enforcers. They dismantled tyrannies. They rewrote Concord law. They refused thrones. Instead they built balance. Aliens watched in awe. Humans fought not to rule, but to decide. Part 7, The Species That Changed Everything. Years later, a monument stood on Cardhax Prime. It showed no weapon, only a human hand extended. A Concord child asked, "Why are humans different?" An elder answered softly, "Because when the galaxy challenged them, they adapted. They were underestimated. They learned. They endured. And in doing so, they became apex." Far across the stars, Earth turned quietly, watching, waiting, ready. The Vale observation fleet arrived without warning. Space above the outer edge of the Sol system folded like water. Light bent inward. Then the ships appeared, vast, flawless, and silent. Silver hulls reflected the distant sun. Energy shields shimmered like living skin. To the Vale this was mercy. To humanity, it was an alarm bell heard across the planet. On Earth, sirens did not sound. There was no panic in the streets. Humanity had learned long ago that fear wasted time. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, the United Earth Strategic Command came alive. Holograms lit the command chamber. Alien ships rotated in three-dimensional space. Scientists, soldiers, and leaders stood shoulder to shoulder. Admiral Elias Rourke stepped forward. "So," he said quietly, "they finally came." A young analyst swallowed. "Sir, their fleet power is beyond anything we've simulated. Shields, weapons, engines, all off the scale." Rourke nodded. "Good. That means they expect us to fail." Above Pluto's orbit, the Vale fleet formed a perfect geometric array. Their commander, High Overseer Thalrin, observed Earth from a throne of light. "A fragile world," Thalrin said. "Too much water. Too much emotion." A Vale strategist tilted his head. "They have not attempted to flee." "Curious." Thalrin dismissed the thought. "Fear paralyzes lesser minds." A transmission beam fired toward Earth. The message was simple. Absolute. "This system now belongs to the Vale Dominion. Submit peacefully. Your leaders will be spared. Resistance will be corrected." On Earth, the room was silent as the message ended. Someone whispered, "They think they're gods." Rourke straightened his uniform. "Prepare the envoy," he said. "Sir?" a general asked. "Only one ship?" Rourke met his eyes. "Yes. They need to underestimate us." Moments later, a single human vessel detached from Earth's shadow. The UES Resolute was small compared to the alien giants. Its hull was dark, angular, scarred by previous conflicts. No glowing shields. No dramatic lights. On the Vale command deck, laughter rippled. "A lone craft," a Vale officer said. "How symbolic." "Open a channel," Thalrin ordered. "Let us hear their final words." The human ship slowed and transmitted. "This is Admiral Elias Rourke of the United Earth Directorate," the voice said, calm, steady, human. "You are trespassing in sovereign space." Silence followed. Then Thalrin spoke. "You addressed the Vale Dominion without permission," he said. "Do you understand what stands before you?" Rourke answered without hesitation. "Yes. And we understand what you think stands before you." A Vale advisor leaned forward. "Insolence." Thalrin's eyes glowed brighter. "You challenge us with one ship?" Rourke paused just long enough to feel intentional. "No," he said. "We're listening." The Vale took this as surrender delayed by ignorance. "Very well," Thalrin said. "Observe." One Vale battleship fired a single shot. Space screamed. The energy beam was bright enough to blind sensors, powerful enough to crack moons. It struck the Resolute dead center. The human ship vanished in a flash of light. Vale officers nodded in satisfaction. "Record the demonstration," Thalrin said. "Send the remains drifting toward their planet." Then alarms erupted. Not veil alarms. Emergency alarms. What is happening? Thalrin demanded. A ship on the far edge of the formation lost power. Its lights died instantly. Then another. Then 3 more. Veil shields flared, then failed. Incoming fire, an officer shouted. Source unknown. Invisible strikes tore through Veil ships with surgical precision. Engines shut down. Sensors went blind. Reactors overloaded, but hulls remained intact. This is impossible, a strategist cried. Their weapons bypass our shields. Thalrin's claws tightened. Find the enemy. A signal appeared. Then dozens. Human ships emerged from nothing, phasing out of folded space inside the Veil formation. Not large. Not impressive. Efficient. Each fired once. Each shot crippled, never destroyed. This is not warfare, Thalrin hissed. This is humiliation. A Veil ship attempted to fire back. Its weapon systems failed. The Veil fleet broke formation. Retreat orders echoed across their network. As the Veil ships fled, a final transmission reached them. Admiral Rourke's voice returned. That was a listening exercise, he said. Next time we speak. The Sol system went quiet. On Earth, no cheers erupted. Rourke closed his eyes for a moment. Phase 1 complete, he said softly. Humanity had just made the galaxy blink. And the galaxy would never look at them the same way again. The retreat of the Veil observation fleet shattered a belief older than empires. Across the galaxy, sensors replayed the same impossible data. Veil ships disabled by weapons that did not exist in any known theory of war. Shields bypassed. Formations broken. Doctrine humiliated. On Cardax Prime, the heart of the Galactic Concord, emergency summons echoed across star systems. The Grand Assembly Hall filled faster than ever before. Floating beings of light pulsed with anxiety. Armored warlords paced. Ancient thinkers whispered into living machines. Never before had the Concord convened in fear. At the center platform stood Supreme Executor Kael'vor himself. For the first time in 10,000 cycles, the Veil had sent their highest authority in person. The hall quieted. Speak, Kael'vor commanded. A tall avian delegate unfurled trembling wings. The Veil fleet retreated from a pre-FTL species. Murmurs rippled outward like shockwaves. That is not possible, snarled a reptilian admiral. Your ships are invincible. Kael'vor's glowing eyes dimmed slightly. They were, he said. Silence fell heavier than gravity. A crystalline intelligence projected images into the air, frozen frames of Veil ships going dark. These strikes were not random, it said. They were predictive. The humans anticipated Veil maneuvers before they occurred. That violates causality, someone protested. No, the intelligence replied. It violates arrogance. Kael'vor raised a hand. The humans did not seek victory, he said slowly. They sought information. They tested us. That truth settled like poison. A ZWR collective delegate clicked nervously. Then we must respond with force. Immediate eradication. Others agreed. Fear demanded violence. But an old, slow voice rose from the shadows. War is what they want you to choose. All eyes turned to Archivist Teln, one of the oldest minds in the Concord. Humans survived on a world of constant disaster, Teln continued. Predators. Climate shifts. Internal wars. They evolved through crisis. You cannot frighten a species that expects catastrophe. Kael'vor considered this. What do you propose? He asked. Teln's voice lowered. Isolation. Sanctions. Starve them of allies. Let them collapse alone. The Concord voted. Borders closed. Trade routes severed. Information embargoes enforced. Humanity would be contained. The humans noticed immediately. At United Earth Strategic Command, analysts watched trade lines vanish from the map. They're boxing us in, a diplomat said. Classic Concord strategy. Admiral Rourke leaned over the table. They assume we need permission to exist, he said. That's their second mistake. A civilian advisor spoke up. We can't fight the entire galaxy. Rourke nodded. We won't. He turned to the communications director. Open channels to everyone, he said. Not the Concord. The ignored. The exploited. The silent. Messages went out, not threats, not demands. Offers. Human medical technology cured diseases other species had accepted as fate. Human energy systems worked without rare elements monopolized by Concord elites. Human AI translated languages thought incompatible. One by one replies came back. Quietly, cautiously, hopeful. On a mining world long taxed into starvation, human engineers restored atmosphere processors. For free. On a border system abandoned after a veil correction, human ships delivered food and left without claiming territory. Whispers spread. The humans do not conquer. They fix. The Concord noticed too late. Defections began. Entire systems withdrew from Concord oversight, citing humanitarian alignment with Earth. Kael'vor watched the reports in silence. They are turning compassion into a weapon, a veil strategist said. No, Kael'vor replied. They are revealing our weakness. In a hidden veil sanctum, Kael'vor met with his war council. They should have submitted, one general growled. We will crush them with numbers. Kael'vor's gaze was distant. Numbers do not defeat adaptation, he said. Then what does? Kael'vor stood. Certainty, he answered. And they have none. On Earth, Admiral Rourke addressed humanity. Not with propaganda. With truth. We are no longer alone, he said. And the galaxy is watching how we respond. Crowds across Earth listened. They fear us, Rourke continued. Not because we are strong, but because we learn fast. He paused. They will come again. And when they do, we will not just defend. We will decide. Far away on Cartax Prime, Kael'vor felt something unfamiliar tighten in his core. For the first time the Veiled Dominion was reacting, not commanding. And in that moment the galaxy understood a terrifying truth. Humanity was no longer a variable. It was becoming a force. The war did not begin with a declaration. It began with silence. Across the border regions near human space, Concord listening posts went dark one by one. No explosions. No distress calls. Just absence. Veil strategists marked it as malfunction. Then entire fleets vanished. On Cartax Prime, Kael'vor stood before the War Council. They are not attacking territory, he said. They are attacking certainty. A Veil general slammed a clawed hand onto the table. Enough games. We will overwhelm them. Full invasion. The order was given. Thousands of Veil warships mobilized, armadas large enough to eclipse stars. They advanced toward human colonies in perfect formation, weapons charged, shields layered beyond theoretical maximum. The galaxy watched. Humanity did not. Human space went quiet. Colonies powered down. Stations emptied. Civilian traffic vanished. Navigation beacons shut off. To the Veil it looked like fear. Run, a Veil officer sneered. It changes nothing. The first engagement occurred in the Helios Rift, a vast region of unstable gravity and broken stars. Veil fleets entered cautiously. Too cautiously. Human sensors had already mapped every distortion. Every gravity well. Every invisible fault. Admiral Rourke watched from a command ship hidden inside folded space. Begin, he said. The rift came alive. False signals bloomed like flares. Human ships appeared, fired once, then vanished. Veil fleets pursued shadows, splitting formations to chase targets that were never there. Then gravity shifted. Entire Veil battle groups were dragged into collapsing star remnants. Ships tore apart as physics betrayed them. This region was stable, a Veil commander shouted. Rourke's voice echoed across human channels. It was, he said quietly, until we understood it. Veil losses mounted without a single direct confrontation. Desperate, Kael'vor ordered a direct strike on Earth. If the head fell, the body would follow. The assault on Earth was unlike anything before it. The sky burned. Veil dreadnoughts descended like falling gods. Orbital defenses fired continuously, yet more ships came. Cities saw daylight turn to fire. But humanity had planned for this. Beneath Earth's crust, ancient bunkers awakened. Shields rose from oceans. Entire continents shifted power to planetary defense grids hidden for centuries. Human weapons answered. Not with raw power. With precision. Veil landing forces were isolated, cut off from command, and dismantled street by soldiers who fought without panic. In orbit, human ships did something unthinkable. They stopped firing. Veil commanders hesitated. Then space folded. Human fleets emerged behind Veil lines, using the planet itself as cover. This is impossible, Kael'vor whispered as reports flooded in. They predicted our approach vectors, an aide said. They anticipated every contingency. No, Kael'vor replied. They wrote them. The turning point came at the Battle of Helios Prime. Kael'vor led the Veil flagship personally. He opened a channel to Admiral Rourke. You cannot win, Kael'vor said. Your species is too divided. Too emotional, Rourke's face appeared, tired, scarred, resolute. You misunderstand us, Rourke replied. Division is how we test ideas. Emotion is how we decide what matters. The battle erupted. Human ships moved unpredictably, breaking every known combat rule. Fleets sacrificed themselves to lure Veil forces into traps that collapsed entire star lanes. Finally, the Veil flagship was surrounded. Human boarding vessels attached. Inside, Veil soldiers fought with honor. Human soldiers fought with purpose. Kael'vor stood as human troops entered the command chamber. He did not resist. You should not exist, he said softly. Rourke stepped forward. We exist because we adapt, he answered. You exist because no one challenged you. Kael'vor lowered his head. For the first time in Veil history, their supreme executor was taken alive. Across the galaxy, sensors confirmed it. The Veil Dominion had fallen, not to superior power but superior understanding. The war was not over. But the balance was broken. And everyone knew it. The Clytherian system burned with the fires of war. Its twin suns cast long shadows across a planet whose surface had once been a jewel of peace. Cities lay in ruins, their spires torn apart by orbital bombardments. Humanity's fleet, far smaller in number than the combined forces of the Clytherian alliance, hovered at the edge of the system, waiting. Patience was their weapon now. Admiral Leona Riker stared at the holographic map of the system aboard the horizon's edge. They think they have us cornered, she said, voice calm but sharp. Their fleets outnumber ours 3-1. They believe victory is certain. Her chief strategist, Kale Aaron, tapped the map. Let them believe it. The Clytherians underestimate us. Always. They do not realize that every move we make is a trap. Across the Galactic Council, the Clytherian commanders were growing restless. High General Tharek, their largest and most ruthless tactician, roared at his subordinates. How do these humans resist? Every fleet we send, they vanish into thin space. Every ground force we drop, extinguished before the first shot lands. The Clytherians, like so many others before them, had assumed humans were primitive, fragile, and predictable. They had counted on fear and underestimation to ensure a swift conquest. Now, the humans exploited that arrogance with surgical precision. Leona turned to her communications officer. Open a channel. Let's talk to Tharek. The Clytherian hologram flickered into existence, monstrous and spiny, a being that could tower over a human even without exoskeletal augmentation. Its multiple eyes glinted with fury. Humans, Tharek's voice thundered through the channel. Your fleets are trapped. Your cities are in flames. Surrender now and perhaps we will grant you mercy. Leona's gaze did not waver. She stepped forward, hand resting lightly on the command console. You misunderstand, General. We are not trapped. We are choosing our battlefield, and the galaxy will remember it. A murmur ran through the Clytherian Council. One of the senior officers hissed, They speak as though they command the stars themselves. Leona smiled faintly. Perhaps we do. Kale activated the fleet's secondary engines. In seconds, human ships accelerated to near-light speeds, disappearing from the Clytherian scanners as if swallowed by the void. The Clytherians panicked, attempting to recalibrate their targeting arrays. They've split their fleet. Tharek bellowed. Impossible. Human vessels reappeared on the far side of Clytherian Prime, emerging from a solar storm that had shielded their approach. Bombardments from orbit rained down not on civilian zones, but on the Alliance's heavily armed fortresses. Each strike was precise, each maneuver calculated to weaken the enemy while minimizing collateral damage. The Clytherian fleet scrambled to respond, but human ships moved with a combination of speed, agility, and predictive tactics that left alien commanders shouting at the void. On the surface, human ground forces, elite squads and exocets enhanced by adaptive AI, struck deep behind enemy lines. Their weapons were advanced, yes, but it was their strategy that unnerved the Clytherians. No enemy position was safe, no retreat predictable. Humans fought like predators, calculating, patient, and relentless. In one decisive engagement, a human strike team led by Captain Rena Solari infiltrated the Clytherian command center on Clytherian Prime itself. Disguised within the alien infrastructure, they transmitted a real-time feed of the Clytherian general's confusion and fear back to the human fleet in orbit. Every moment Tharek spent on indecision cost him the initiative. Back aboard the horizon's edge, Leona watched the transmission. Do you see? She said softly. They thought fear would break us. But fear works both ways. And patience makes legends. Tharek realized too late that he had been outmaneuvered. The human fleet, now reunited, struck the Alliance's capital ships simultaneously from multiple vectors. The shockwave from their concentrated plasma arrays ripped through Clytherian lines, scattering their formations. Alien fleets that had once laughed at humanity now floundered, unsure which threat to counter first. On the battlefield, humans exhibited uncanny coordination, anticipating alien tactics with almost prescient accuracy. Even the Clytherians' genetically enhanced war beasts fell to clever traps, lured into zones where human plasma mines awaited. "Admiral," Kale shouted. "The Council wants a surrender broadcast. They are ready to see the humans kneel." Leona shook her head. "No. Let them see this, humanity does not kneel." She activated the communications channel. "Therak, today your arrogance ends. Humanity is not your prey." In that instant, every human ship, every ground unit, projected a combined attack pattern that enveloped the Clytherian forces like a net tightening across prey. Explosions lit the planet in bursts of blue and red fire. Alien warships were destroyed in spectacular arcs, tearing through space with no time to react. The Clytherians were shattered, not entirely but enough to force a retreat. Their morale collapsed. Therak's threats had failed, their weapons had failed, and their assumptions, their pride, had been broken. Leona allowed herself a rare smile. "Message received, Kale?" "Loud and clear," he replied. "They'll remember this day. They'll remember humans." As the survivors of the Clytherian fleet fled into the dark stretches of space, the humans held the battlefield. The stars, silent witnesses to the carnage, seemed to shine a little brighter. Humanity had proven itself not just resilient, but cunning, adaptable, and unstoppable. But in the quiet that followed, a shadow fell over the galaxy. Other species had been watching. Other powers had been calculating. And somewhere, far beyond Clytherian, a presence older than the stars stirred at the news that a new apex species had finally emerged: humanity. The galaxy had underestimated them for the last time. The galaxy trembled. News of the human victory at Clytherian spread faster than any fleet could travel. HoloNet transmissions reached every corner of civilized space. Alien species that had once considered humans inconsequential now whispered with awe and fear. In the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, representatives of the Threxians, Oryxians, and the crystalline Siluran debated heatedly. Each had watched the Clytherian fleet crumble under human strategy. "You saw it," barked Ambassador Varric of the Threxians. His 8 limbs gestured wildly, crystal eyes reflecting the chamber's light. "They outthink us at every turn. They strike with precision, foresight, and—" He paused, voice trembling. "With no regard for what we thought was invincible." Ambassador Elwax of the Siluran hissed, its translucent form shimmering. "It cannot be natural. No species could evolve such coordination so quickly. There must be interference. Some external force guiding them." "Perhaps," Lyra of Oryxia muttered, "but the fact remains, they have toppled the Clytherians. And if we do not act soon, we may be next." Meanwhile, humanity's leaders convened aboard the Horizon's Edge, orbiting the newly liberated Clytherian system. Admiral Leona Riker studied the Council feats. "They're panicking," she said quietly. "They see Clytherian fall and realize, humans aren't just clever. We're dangerous." Kale Aaron leaned over the hologram. "We predicted this. The galaxy will form alliances, perhaps even coalitions, to try to stop us. They will underestimate our adaptability again, and again that will be their mistake." In secret, a shadow faction known as the Veil, a network of spies, mercenaries, and rogue scientists from multiple species, moved to undermine the humans. Their agents infiltrated trade routes, attempted sabotage, and spread disinformation. But every human countermeasure seemed a step ahead, every trap anticipated. Captain Rena Solari led a rapid response squad to intercept a Veil blockade near the planet Ixora. Their ships moved like liquid shadows, weaving between debris fields and solar flares. Alien cruisers fired blindly, unable to predict human maneuvers. Within hours, the blockade collapsed, and the Veil agents were either captured or fled. "Every species is testing us," Rena reported, breathing hard. "They send what they think are elite forces, and every time, they fail." Leona's eyes gleamed. "Let them test us. Let them watch. Each failure strengthens our legend. Each attempt shows the galaxy that humanity is not just another contender. We are the apex." Yet not all humans felt the thrill of victory. Lieutenant Mara Chin in the medbay of the Horizon's Edge treated wounded civilians from Clytherian Prime. She saw the toll, the ruined cities, traumatized survivors, and the ethical weight of war. We are strong, she whispered to Kale. But how long before the galaxy sends forces we cannot beat? Kale placed a hand on her shoulder. Then we will adapt. That is what we do. That is what makes us human. As the political tension escalated, a summit of the major empires convened on the neutral station of Erythra. High representatives demanded the humans present themselves. Leona, Kale, and Rena boarded the station with only a skeleton escort. The chamber was vast, filled with towering species who could crush a human with a single limb, their voices echoing across the hall. Ambassador Varric started, voice booming. Humans, you have proven capable beyond any expectation. But the galaxy cannot allow a single species to dominate. Surrender your fleets. Submit to the Council's authority. Leona stepped forward, her voice clear and commanding. We do not seek to dominate. We seek survival and respect. The galaxy has underestimated us for centuries. That ends today. LX of the Silyran shimmered, voice cold. You may survive, Clytherian. But if we unite against you, your fleets will burn. Your cities will fall. We are older than your species. Smarter. Stronger. Leona's eyes narrowed. Perhaps. But no species has our adaptability. No species has our ingenuity. You judge us by what you see, not by what we are capable of becoming. Humanity will survive. Humanity will thrive. And if you attack us, we will show you power you cannot comprehend. The chamber erupted in chaos. Alien representatives shouted over one another, hurling accusations, threats, and ultimatums. Yet for every threat, humans responded with calm certainty. Kale whispered to Leona, they fear us and they do not yet realize it. Fear will drive them into mistakes. Patience and we exploit those mistakes. We do not fight every war they propose. Rena added, we have won battles, yes. But the war is now in the minds of every species. They see us as unstoppable. And we will let them believe it, until we strike when they least expect it. In the shadows of Erythra, the first whispers of coordinated resistance against humanity began forming. Alliances, secret fleets, mercenary contracts. Humanity's victories had made them a beacon, a threat, and a target. The galaxy's older species would come together, driven by fear and ambition, to challenge the rising apex species. And humanity, calm and patient, prepared. They studied the politics, learned the alliances, anticipated betrayals. Every move, every statement, every battle was a step in a larger plan. Leona looked out the observation deck at the stars beyond. They will come for us. Every empire, every fleet, every assassin. But they forget one thing. Kale smiled faintly. We adapt. We survive. We dominate without surrendering our humanity. The galaxy had seen the rise of a species it could not predict, and the coming storm would test the limits of intelligence, strategy, and courage. But one truth was already clear. No force, no council, no empire could contain the human spirit once unleashed. Humanity had become the spark that would ignite the galaxy's next era, and no one would underestimate them again. The galaxy held its breath. Across star systems, fleets mobilized. Alliances forged from fear and desperation now converged on human-controlled space. The combined armadas of the Threxians, Silyran, Oryxians, and remnants of the Clytherian alliance, vast beyond imagination, swarmed toward Earth, Mars, and the newly liberated systems. Every strategist had predicted a swift end for humanity. Every analyst had assumed humans would fold under pressure. But predictions were only as good as the assumptions behind them. And the galaxy had assumed all the wrong things. Admiral Leona Riker stood on the bridge of the flagship Horizon's Edge, watching the void pulse with distant stars. This is it, she said, voice calm, almost serene. The galaxy has decided to test us. Let's give them a show they will never forget. Kale Aaron, her strategist, traced the enemy movements across the holographic display. They've committed every fleet they could muster. They expect brute force to win. But they've forgotten. Humans do not fight like they expect. Humans fight like humans, unpredictable, relentless, and always adaptable. In orbit above Earth, human fleets divided into multiple task forces, vanishing and reappearing across the battlefield like ghosts. Alien sensors screamed with impossible readings, ships accelerating beyond theoretical limits, cloaked in shadows of dark energy, moving faster than thought. Captain Rena Solari led the vanguard. They think sheer numbers win wars, she muttered to her crew. We'll show them strategy, cunning, and patience. The first clash came in the Carina expanse. Alien armadas descended in perfect formation, plasma cannons blazing, energy shields humming. Yet human ships danced through the barrage with lethal grace. Coordinated bursts of electromagnetic pulses disabled enemy shields. Precision strikes took out command vessels. Every engagement became a lesson in human ingenuity, every maneuver an impossible puzzle for alien commanders to solve. On the ground, human forces liberated key systems that had been blockaded for decades. Cities once thought lost rose again under human ingenuity, repaired in weeks with technology that astonished alien engineers. Humanity's engineers had discovered ways to adapt alien tech in real time, turning enemies' weapons against them. The Galactic Council convened in panic. "They cannot be stopped," hissed Elwex of the Siluran. "Their tactics, their adaptability, it is beyond anything we have faced." Varric of the Threxians roared. "We have the fleets, the numbers, the firepower. How can a single species resist all of us at once?" Leona's calm voice broadcast across intercepted channels. "You are seeing the result of underestimation. Every time you counted us weak, you were wrong. Every time you assumed we would yield, you were wrong. Humanity does not yield. Humanity does not fear. Humanity endures and adapts." The climactic battle erupted over the neutral system of Dion. Thousands of warships clashed in orbit, energy arcs lighting the darkness like artificial suns. Alien fleets tried to encircle the humans, but every maneuver was anticipated. Human ships broke through lines, collapsing corridors of space into traps where even the largest dreadnoughts were cut down by combined fire. On the planet below, ground forces neutralized orbital bombardments with advanced energy shields, countering invasions with hybrid AI tactics. Human squads moved like shadows through alien formations, collapsing entire armies with minimal losses. The galaxy watched, horrified and fascinated, as humans demonstrated the apex combination of intelligence, adaptability and tactical genius. In the middle of the chaos, Admiral Riker convened a command council aboard the Horizon's Edge. "We can end this," she said. "We do not need to annihilate every fleet. We only need to break their will. Strike at the command nexus. If they see their leaders fall, everything else crumbles." Rena's strike team infiltrated the alien command hub on Elydian's surface, neutralizing the Council's communications and strategic cores. Within moments, alien coordination collapsed. Massive fleets drifted aimlessly, unable to respond to human maneuvers. Fear rippled through every species, an emotion they had never expected to encounter in humans because humans had never acted with blind predictability. At the height of the battle, Leona projected a final broadcast galaxy-wide. "We are human. We fight. We adapt. We endure. And now you will remember that no species, no alliance, no empire, can underestimate us again. Humanity is not your enemy unless you make it one. Choose wisely." Alien fleets surrendered in droves. Systems that had been under occupation for centuries hailed humanity as liberators. Even the most proud species bowed to the undeniable truth. Humans were now the apex civilization of the galaxy. The aftermath was staggering. Earth and human colonies rebuilt as centers of diplomacy, science, and culture. The galaxy's older species, once dominant, recognized the human supremacy and began negotiating peace, treaties, and alliances on human terms. Kale Aaron stood beside Leona on the observation deck of the Horizon's Edge. "The galaxy feared us, and now it respects us." Leona smiled faintly. "Not just respect, Kale. They know they cannot control us. They know we define our own path. They know the future belongs to humanity." Rena Solari joined them, placing a hand on the railing. "We fought wars, yes. But more than that, we proved something no one else could. That humans are unpredictable, resilient, supremely capable. That is our strength." And so, under the light of 1,000 stars, humanity ascended. They had faced the galaxy's mightiest, shattered assumptions, and carved a place where no one could ever doubt them again. The legend of humanity spread across the stars, whispered in awe and fear. The species that no one took seriously, that was underestimated at every turn, had become the standard by which all others measured themselves. And in the quiet of space, as humans looked out at the galaxies they now commanded, one truth remained clear. The galaxy had met humanity, and nothing would ever be the same again.